All right, well, good afternoon, everyone. Today, we'd like to bring you through our presentation of our Airbnb project for the Clemson College of Business. The three people that worked on this summer were myself, Sean Larkin, we have Max Cook, and our foreign exchange student, Bao Lam. So here is our research question for this summer. After COVID-19 struck, there's been a new normal for cleanliness standards across all industries, and that includes the short-term rental market. So we wanted to figure out, how do renters value cleanliness in the short-term real estate market? We utilized machine learning, multiple linear regressions, and critical thinking in order to solve this question. And we concluded after our research that renters do value cleanliness in the short-term real estate market. Our first step in order to conquer this task was data scraping. We were able to download all the city's data that we needed for each month from Airbnb directly. We were able to rename every download depending on the certain characteristics that each file had. For example, we had calendar files that listed the daily prices and availability of each Airbnb. We had review files that tracked directly to the reviews that each Airbnb listing received every month. And we had listing files that showed the characteristics of each listing for each Airbnb every single month. We were able to name folders for each city and sort by the type of file. And Max on the programming side was able to create scripts to merge and drop duplicates to make sure that we weren't repeating any listings. And meanwhile, our exchange student began working on the description cleanliness index to identify how many times a property would be characterized as clean. So we were able to come to the conclusion that we wanted to choose Austin, Texas to focus on our research. And the reason we did this was because of a few factors. First was that Austin is one of the fastest growing metropolitan cities with lots of people moving in. So we thought this would be a good area to focus our study. Second, it's a very attractive place to visit, as you can see in the bottom middle picture. Austin is a great place to visit, as some of our members have even been there ourselves. And there are more relaxing travel restrictions. If we were to have picked an area like New York or even California, where there's some more intense travel restrictions, then it would be harder for us to identify why rental, if they actually value cleanliness or not, or if it's just because of the travel restrictions in the area. So then we started with our data cleaning. We're able to import all the listing data into Stata, which was our primary method of cleaning and sorting and merging our data. We were able to get the key variables and get comfortable with the data in order to know what important variables were utilized to determine an Airbnb listing. And then we used multiple linear regressions for the price of the listing, so we could figure out what directly contributed to a pricing of a listing. And we made more dummy variables, such as whether they had a real bed versus an air mattress, whether they're a superhost or not, whether the type of property, and etc. And then we were able to drop other variables, like if it was an odd property type, like a castle, or if it was before 2018, where there was less data that was available for us. And we were able to create new variables such as the monthly bookings for each listing.
So one of the big problems that we encountered with this project was getting an actual measure of cleanliness. Cleanliness is very easy to measure qualitatively and just by actually looking at a place. But when it comes to actually getting a numerical value for it, this turned out to be a little bit more complicated. We had some initial data for the cleanliness of every property, but it was very skewed, with over 90% of the properties getting a 9 out of 10 score. So instead, we decided to apply several different machine learning algorithms to create our own and more accurate index. So the first step in creating this index was identifying which words had a clean and dirty meaning in the context of the reviews. And the way we did this was we used a neural network called Word2Vec. Word2Vec takes a body of text and produces a vector space of all of these words. And the resulting vector space is structured in a way such that similar vectors have similar meanings. So once we got all of the vectors for every word, we were able to then go through and measure the different angles between those vectors. And based on how close the angle was, we had a measure of how similar any two words were. For example, hi world and hello world would be similar meanings because they both have the world vector in them. So after we went through and did this process for all the clean and dirty words, we were able to go through and refine that results down to a list of words that meant clean and dirty in the context of the text. Now that we had a list of the clean and dirty words, we had to expand this list to deal with the surrounding context of other words. For example, not clean has a very negative meaning, but very clean has a very positive meaning. And we can't tell that just by looking at the word clean. We were able to apply n-gram modeling, which creates different n-letter phrases or n-word phrases out of the text. And we went through and we created a new list containing all of the 2- and 3-word phrases from all of our clean and dirty words. After we went through and created all of our n-grams, we now had context and we were able to actually measure the cleanliness within the text. So we went through and we created the index by calculating all of the clean phrases that appeared in a review, and we divided that by the total number of clean and dirty phrases that appeared in a review.
And after we had calculated all of that and was able to take that and put it into our regression, we were able to merge all of our data together. Some of the key components we used to do that was the county name of the data, because we needed the counties in order to make sure that the files would merge in properly. Then we were able to get the amount of COVID cases that were in each county, each state, and the total US cases at the time. This was important because it showed us how many cases were there in a particular area and how that would affect the pricing directly. Next, we were able to merge in our calendar data, which we talked about earlier. This contained the availability and the price of a listing every day. With that data, we were able to get an average nightly price and an average monthly amount of income for each property, which was important. And then we were able to get the accumulated reviews. From what Max had provided us, we were able to get a score per month on a percentage basis of the amount of reviews. And the same was done with the description index, with the amount of total clean words inside a description of a property. Next, we were able to finalize our regression. We were able to hold our original regression based on the monthly price the same. But then we were able to include the new variables which we received from Max's side, and we were able to create interaction terms. These interaction terms are able to tell us if there's a difference between the original regression and post-COVID regression. So we were able to have COVID period times reviews, COVID period times the description index, and the description index times the review index, and a total triple interaction variable, which would tell us if all 3 of these came into play, would there be a difference in the price or the income? And finally, we're able to view the COVID-19 impact with all 3 of these variables. And we utilized a log monthly income as our dependent variable because it was able to show the percent change, and it was more normalized over this large set of over 280,000 observations. And this is a short summary of the data we have received. And what do those numbers say? It shows us that before COVID-19, clean reviews were very significant. It was important to people that a place was clean and had those positive reviews in order for them to stay. However, after COVID-19, clean reviews were less important. The similar results were also shown with the description cleanliness index. But what did this all mean in total? It means that we're 95% confident that during COVID-19, a listing with clean reviews and a clean description score should see an increase in monthly income. And that is because that triple interaction, as we have seen in the previous slide, was positive, meaning that that houses that have all 3 of these in common will see an increase in their monthly income. And that's all we have. Thank you very much.